We have Bruce, Sean, Rob. In the room is Nancy and myself. And on the screen I see Nathan, Keisha, Mary Jo, Laura, members of the public. And the recorder is going, so at your pleasure, we can get rolling here.
Okay, get to my correct screen. Excuse me. I'd like to actually open the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget hearing at this time. And would like to open it for public and member comment. And I looked, there's nothing in the chat, it would appear. Bruce or Rob, any comments on the budget?
No, minus thanking the budget committee for their time and looking over the budget.
Yes, I agree with that, and then also the employees for making a budget that was easy to read and very thought out.
Thank you.
I echo that. Well done. Yes, as per usual. It's it's a beautiful document, and read the minutes from the second budget meeting. Sounds like others agreed. So,
Thank you, sirs.
okay. Is there no other comment on budget? Hearing none, I would like to adjourn the budget hearing for the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
Noted.
Okay. And with that, break on the tape, we roll into, I'd like to call the May 27, 2021 Board of Directors meeting for the Columbia 911 Communications District to order. Roll call here. Looks like we have just barely enough. Mr. Anderson is here, Mr. Holby's here, and I'm your host, Sean Clark. And we have a host of staff and attendants. Nice to see folks on the phone. Thank you for joining us. Is there any public comment at this time that anybody has signed up to share or wants to share? Hearing none, let's move on to the next item. Do we have any additions to today's agenda, sir?
Yes, sir, we do. Late this morning, I added a request for board approval. It'll be under new business, radio site relocation study.
Under new business. Okay. Let's move on to we don't need a motion for that, right?
No, sir, it's just an addition to the agenda.
We'll move on to the approval of the April 22nd regular meeting minutes and the April 29th, 2021 budget meeting minutes.
So moved.
That was Rob
Second.
Anderson and Bruce second.
That's moval and approval. Second on both of those, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second to approve the both meeting minutes as presented. Is there any comment? Excellent. Hearing no comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item, financial report. Nancy, thank you for another clean looking month. Robert, looks like we're on track, similar to as we seem to be most of the time.
Yep,
Good
we're
work.
looking good.
I might have had one question.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, originally I was questioning I saw the expense of the console repair, but then I ended up seeing in the report about the consoles that we have obtained and them going in the MIC.
That is correct.
I guess, and once again, we've had a lot of work done. Now the weather's kind of changed back and forth. How's the HVAC stuff coming along? Since we've had a fair amount of, bills from Columbia Northwest.
So we had repairs here locally at the district office on one of the BARD units. Yet to be billed is a repair for the HVAC at one of the remote sites. That's still in play.
All right, I just know that for a few years, or quite a few years, the HVAC in the building's always been a bit of an issue, but we're making progress. Staff feel?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the budget variance?
I'll move.
I will second.
Interesting point here, and I'm just curious, Rob, you seem to be one of our more astute students of Robert's rules, but I've been on another board where the chair just, boom, rolls right into it. I move to approve, boom. It's like, just right on it. Does anybody know if that's common? I mean, I have no problem doing that, but I mean, is that technically a no-no, or?
He has
Well,
to.
I think, since they're, Robert's rules, parliamentary procedure,
Bobby?
I think potentially you might be able to move in second, but you can't do both.
No.
Right.
And, I guess we're kind of loose. We haven't formally adopted Robert's rules per se.
I'd love to bring it up even. What was
Yeah.
happening work?
You're going to bring me back to my Parley Pro days, man. You don't want to go there, trust me.
Outstanding. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget variance as presented here. Is there any further discussion on it? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I hope it's not distracting that with my screen set up. I've gone through this, my laptop's over here with the camera and the screens are up here, so.
You're fine,
I'm
boss.
down there. Look at you guys now, but it's,
Well, Mr. Chair, to keep things moving along.
yes, sir.
Oh, never mind.
I got nothing.
Wow.
You know what amazes me, and I know that we're not to discussion yet, but I'm going to say it anyway, is how often we're just right in this general area in the mid 250s. Well, if no one minds, I'm going to make a motion to approve the expenditure report for our check number 30143 through 30193, including electronic payments and transfers for a total of $257,081.52. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Yep.
Wow, I would give that tie to Rob, actually. Good try, Bruce. Yeah, is there any comments? I had a question. Oh, never mind. I looked back. I looked back at another expenditure and I was like, okay, I'm good. Good hearing no other questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Starting on the agenda here, clicking over. Operations manager report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, we had a trainee and she is fully signed off and working her own shift now. So we do not have any current trainees in our program. We do have an applicant in the psych process. I'm waiting on that report, and one in the background process. So waiting on that report to potentially move them forward. We interviewed on Tuesday, called them that afternoon, and invited them to move forward to the next step in the process, which would be the background. And heard back from one of them who wanted to move on, and the other gal, she declined to move forward. So we'll be moving one through. I do not have any recruitments open at this time, just because I'm hopeful that these three will be able to be successfully hired on. And as discussed before, usually there's a challenge with having more than 2 trainees in the program at the same time. So I don't want to really stack the list too much and have people waiting for too long and then potentially leave. So depending on what I find out, hopefully this week, early next, with the background in the psych, then I'll make my decision on whether I can have another recruitment, but I'm ready to go on that if needed. So, knowing priorities, and really nothing big to report. We are getting ready kind of for the fair, since that's going to be on this year, and so we're looking forward to getting out there and having a booth and doing some public education. So we've been buying some swag and giveaways, and just looking forward to that. Otherwise, that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Will you be looking to have some presents at the fair then, a booth then? Is that what you're planning? Or?
Yeah. So we'll have a booth and try and get as many different staff members there as possible too. And we got some fun things we're going to set up for it, so it'll be fun.
Do you guys try to do any recruitment for employees during that time too, or is it strictly educational?
I'm not sure how it's been in the past, but yeah, Nathan has already set something up with a QR code for us, so we can just tap it to people's phones and all of our hiring information comes up then. So, so we're already set all that. So, but yeah, we'll definitely be doing education and recruitment type stuff, and I want to put together some pamphlets about what it means to work for Columbia 911 and do a little bit of that as well.
What's the date of the fair?
July 14th through 18th, I believe.
Yes.
That
Yes,
sound about right?
that is correct.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Laura?
Is our staffing good enough that we're going to be able to continue with training throughout the summertime, or due to vacations, it looks like we're going to have a slight pause in the process?
As far as new recruits?
Yeah.
Or, no. So as soon as I can bring 2 on board, we're going to do that and get them in training right away. So.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Now back over here. Okay, Nathan, technical manager.
So we've replaced the batteries in the UPS this month. Hopefully, if we ever lose power, it'll keep us tied over till the generator kicks on. Networking project, that's been completed. Hooray. COVID's been a pain in the butt with all these projects. The lighting project, they're almost done. We're just waiting for one more track light to be ordered, and we'll be done with that. And then new business I have is for the security project. in your board packets, you'll see a request for some change orders along with my request and kind of a highlight of what these change orders are for. So basically, we're looking to add some additional features to our security system that will allow us to have a more complete system. It was kind of a you don't know what you don't know at the beginning of this project. So we're looking to, let me get my side all queued up here, to install a couple of additional fingerprint readers and door strikes on the server room and the door between the extension and the main building, now that we will be having some additional work stations there for CAD. We want to upgrade our gate remotes. The hardware that was out there failed a couple of months ago, and we were unable to get a hold or actually track down our old vendor to get it fixed. So I'd like to now add that to our current security project. And then on top of that, adding long-range RFID readers so that our employees can just drive up to the gate and it will automatically open for them and know who they are. And adding a emergency exit button in case computers fail. You gotta have some way of getting out. And then updating the existing control computer and monitoring computer just to be more future-proof. Just planning for the future so we don't have to spend more money down the line.
And that last one, I'd add a caveat to that is we're getting a rebate on that because of basically we're exchanging the computer that we purchased with the system. Is that correct, Nathan? And so we're getting credit on the one computer and upgrading it?
Yeah, credits on 2 computers and upgrading 2.
Okay. So for an action item, Nathan's seeking board approval, and it's at your pleasure.
Did we want to wait until new business?
Again, it's your call, Rob.
That's the president.
Yeah, let's move it and take care of the new business.
My
Very good.
apologies, it's my first time having to do something like this.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, that was part of your report.
Good. All right. Anything else, Nathan? Any questions for Nathan? Excellent. Let's move into old business. Mr. Fletcher.
Yes, sir. So, old business radio system, Dixie Mountain. So we've reported a few times the ongoing issues with the FAA. So as I reported over the last couple of months, we did do that walkthrough. We found some areas that we needed to make corrections to the original application agreement. What we didn't know was so again, learning. I've been personally dealing with the lease side of the FAA for that site, and that's the contract negotiations for that lease. When it came to making changes to the agreement, we were forwarded on to the local regional manager who manages all of their sites. Fine, we started that conversation. Unbeknownst to us, that gentleman was reassigned to Washington, D.C., to their headquarters, and the person who was placed interim to replace him, my words, kind of vapor locked. Wasn't too sure what he could approve or not approve. So after many weeks of no movement, I re-engaged with the folks that I had already been working with from the lease side to help us manage this roadblock. I was on vacation for the past 2 weeks. Once I got back, that person had reached out to me while I was gone, re-engaged. We have basically some Drano in the pipes, cleaning things out. We have been establishing conversation between the lease side and the local, regional management. They made some requests. What they said initially was that we're going to have to reopen the lease agreement, which we are. However, that doesn't mean that we're going to have to start over again. All we're going to do is make an addendum to our current agreement, and they're just asking for some specific documentation of what we're changing. As I've shared before, the original agreement had us mounting and installing Dragon Wave microwave system. That company's no longer in business, so we need to make a change to M&I, and so they're asking just for the particulars of the make and model, weights and dimensions of that equipment. So that's in play with M&I. And then the same, we're changing the floor rack from the wall mount rack to a floor rack that will be attached to the wall, and so we're getting those diagrams and product information for them. So that was in play this week, so we're hopefully continuing to move on quickly with that. Nothing new on the Buxton or Cornelius Pass, although I did have a meeting with both WACA and their vendor regarding multiple sites and our interplay with them. But they're not looking for anything to be happening with the new sites until most likely sometime mid-September. So that's our kind of our new goal out there. Next Gen radio system, we've held multiple stakeholder meetings with the users of our current system, along with federal engineering. We had meetings on April 21st and again on May 19th. Those are going very well, very pleased with the participation of our stakeholders. Good conversation back and forth between federal and them. Federal also reached out and is continuing dialogue with the 4 proposals and the vendors associated with those. And I had a meeting with federal yesterday. Good dialogues going on. So the project, their contract is on time, and you should expect to see a finished report in July. We're expecting a preliminary report sometime next month, June, but I'll keep you updated as that moves along. Meisner. The Meisner site is moving along also quite well. We've completed our structural analysis of the tower here at Dispatch. I have met with the engineering firm and the construction manager. We did that on the 21st, and the construction manager is prepping for the RFPs for the civil work. Our building permits application process is complete. There was a little hiccup with getting the fees paid, but that has been resolved, and we're moving forward. I hope to see RFPs be published within the next week. Tow contracts, there's nothing new on that. It's kind of in the hands of the county at this point. Ambulance service area, also the ASA is in the emergency management's hands at this point. Facility upgrades, Nathan spoke about that.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. I talked to Chief Sherrick, and the boundary clarifications he said have been made. So I saw this on here twice. So is that something, I don't know who we need to check with on that?
Well, that would be Cindy. She's working on the ASA boundary issues. She's currently on vacation last week and this week, so I can catch with her when she gets back.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. Thank you. The RQI renewal, we had a meeting with them yesterday, so that's been verbalized. We'll take that off of our agenda here after this month. Board member vacancy. The president of the board Sean and I had a conversation this last weekend. We have 3 potential new, or at least applicants to replace Mr. Crawford. Sean instructed me to provide instructions to those 3 potential new members, which is to provide us, or provide you really, a cover letter, introduction of themselves, their background, and their interest in serving on the board. Those instructions were given, and we're waiting to receive those documents. So hopefully, as soon as I get them, I will pass them on to you. Nothing on the policy on Chapter 4. Admin phone system replacement. So there's a couple things on the phone system. So we have received, I'll talk about the 911 phone system first because that's the heavy lift. We finished out our replacement agreement for the maintenance of the 911 phone system. That's between Motorola and OEM. That has been signed and has been paid for. So that's good. But saying that, our current 911 phone system is well past due a forklift replacement upgrade. This is a result of the funding crisis the state of Oregon had for the 911 program. Our system is actually past due by over 2 years, and so now we are in an accelerated process to get it upgraded. I've received 1 quote so far from the Motorola folks, and I'm in contact with OEM on potential other bids and or conducting demos of potential new systems. We really only have 2 choices: maintain a current Motorola Vesta system, or we could look at the Intrado Viper system. So I'm having conversations with staff and the state of Oregon on that. The admin phone system is a separate component to the district, and Nathan is working on developing quotes and bids for the admin side. That is the extent of the old business, sir.
Mike, question for you on the vacancy. I'm just curious, what more should we, the board, be doing, if anything, for the vacancy? I mean, it's not like we go out and handpick anybody, so we're just hoping that someone interested that wants to do it applies, right? I mean,
Correct. So
should we be doing more? Or?
Well, we have 3 folks that have voiced interest. I've had conversations with each of them. I'm waiting for those letters of interest, and then it's going to be the pleasure of the board of how you'd like to proceed from there. I could foresee them meeting with the full board upon Henry's return for potentially the June meeting, but it's really your call. I mean, we could also do a special meeting. It's going to be your pleasure.
Copy. Okay. Any other questions for old business for Mike?
Sean, I have a question about the phone system.
Yes.
So obviously OEM helps finance on the 911 side, and then we as a district take full financial responsibility for the admin side.
That is correct.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so currently, and then the 2 systems do interconnect enough so that the floor can transfer appropriately as need be.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So I guess the question I have is there a bridge that we know that's going to allow 2 systems to talk to each other, or do we actually need to wait to find out what direction we're going with the 911 system through OEM before we really spend a lot of time and effort looking at the options of the admin side?
They use a PRI to interconnect. So usually whatever kind of system you have, you could just add a PRI to connect to the other system.
Correct.
Thank you.
I gotta give you one of those PRIs. They sound pretty handy.
One question on the kind of the questionnaire you sent out, Mike, to the prospective board members. Is that something we're going to get like in a packet or something so we can review it prior to either the board meeting or the special meeting?
That's my intent. Yes, sir.
Okay. No further questions. Let's move on into new business. We had an addition to the agenda, or two additions then, correct?
That's correct. So we can revisit request for board approval, change orders, entrance controls, integrated security. There's 4 of them there. Nathan's going to be your SME for describing each of them.
Okay, this is the entrance controls, change orders over here. Okay.
That's correct. So there are 4 of them. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
So,
Rob.
Mr. Chair, for sake of procedure, and for discussion, I would like to move to approve the request, board approval for the security changes as presented.
Excellent. I will second that. And with that, we can have some discussion here.
I do have one kind of maybe it's a question, but it seems like since I've been on here, we have a lot of change orders. That seems a little uncommon to me. So I kind of question why we always have so many of them. And I know technology, you will get some of that, and I understand that, but I do kind of question a little bit about a lot of change orders.
So, for instance, the gate, that wasn't a part of the original quote. We had some hardware failure. User was not responding to our calls, emails. So we sent them an email saying that we would like to conclude our business transactions, and then we contacted Christensen to ask them if they could include it in their ecosystem that they're building us. And so it's more of an addition due to failure of existing technology.
And I would also add to that that gate has been historically problematic for the district. And it's actually 3 separate components that make up that gate. There is the actual fencing company for the actual material. There's the motors and everything. That's a separate thing. And then there's the control of the gate, both externally and internally. How Mary Jo, how Nancy, and even the dispatchers can control the gate. And then there's the whole security aspect of that, the logging of it, the cameras on it, etc. So that whole system, just the gate by itself, has kind of turned into a rat's nest just because there are so many fingers in the pie. So what I think what Nathan is trying to do is one throat to choke, and that's the addition for that. We kind of touched on the computers. What was originally sized for us in the original bid has turned out to be inadequate. So we're asking for dollars to improve those computers that control or absorb and monitor our system, but we get some credits for the equipment that we're returning because it wasn't sized appropriately because we are combining so much into the security system. And then I have the strike plates and switches. That is directly resulting from we received those workstations that we are putting and installed in the extension, because we will be in this next fiscal year We built dollars and cents to outfit those workstations for CAD. So we'll have 3 positions back there, full CAD. It's our intent with the new phone system, we're going to put in what's called command post, which means our 911 phone systems can actually work remotely back there. And then the monitors to go through that. And then we have a plan for radio back there. But all that being said, we have to have CJIS requirements to meet, and that is securing that back room. And that's the entrance control components of these various change order requests. So some of it was, I think all of it was unknown when we originally put in for the bid for the security system.
Okay, I appreciate the explanation. I just said it on TV, I think, whoa, wait, but then the explanation I appreciate, Mike.
You bet.
Well, I would like to thank Nathan for the detailed report, and including the quotes to it. It was very descriptive. Just a couple thoughts or questions I have, and I'll just throw them out there shotgun style and see which direction it goes. Just want to clarify that when he talks about the server room, it is the room next to the restrooms and the extension. So are you talking about the one, and then that's the radio, has all the radio system and the dispatch itself?
Correct.
Okay, and then you mentioned it's going to be a fingerprint scanner.
Correct.
But I take it, does it also support the generic cards?
Yep.
For people to get in? So you'll have, obviously, a card for that this staff can hand to a vendor if for some reason you're not there and we have to have the radio techs come in to do some emergency work.
Yep, and eventually Mary Jo will be able to just click a button to unlock the room if she needed to.
Perfect. The next one about the gate. The gate has been very problematic in the past, and it seems to be difficulty working with user. And I think you've been working on months with the latest issues that we've had with it. When I looked at it, security-wise, I'll admit I don't have a CJIS reference here to find out exactly what can be done and what cannot be done, or what is best practice. I'll admit, when I looked through it, one thing that had me slightly concerned was the idea of there being that exit push button. Just because, as we know, currently the backside of our facility is not secure. And if we had a push button, what really would keep anyone from just hopping the fence, getting to the button, and pushing the button to be able to have drive-in access? I'm just curious if that is a concern or not.
So it's kind of all in the works. So we're looking at maybe making some adjustments to our current gate, increasing its security so that a fence couldn't be jumped. But it's all really just in the discovery process right now. So we're looking into it, but we'd like to be ready with all of the options and doing this right the first time. So yes, I mean, you could always jump the gate. You can also jump the gate and basically hotwire the motor and the opener. It's no different.
You use bolt cutters to cut the chain. Yeah, I realize there's no perfect option. I just want to make sure that we're in line with whatever best practice or recommendations there is.
Yeah. I mean, a lock's only going to keep a good person out.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one I had, which Mike already pointed out, and you pointed out also, is initially when I looked through that proposal, I was going, it's like, well, why don't we pause on the server side of it until there was the statement in there that they said means this is a currently ongoing project, that they are going to take back the initial computer server that they installed and will be upgrading it for future expandability, future-proof it basically, so that we're not, again, having to spend more money here shortly in the very near future due to limitations of the initial one they installed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bruce, do you have any other questions or comments on the change order?
No, I just, thanks, Mike, for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Hearing none. Well, actually, I do have a question. So, Nathan, in the discussion there, you mentioned a push button at Mary Jo's desk to access the server room and another thing about the gate. That sounds like something later, an add-on for later, or?
No, it's existing. It's just, we have the monitoring computer has a single pane of glass to see the entire security system and also control it remotely. So she'll be able to, or really anybody that we choose in the agency will be able to use this program to basically unlock doors remotely, control entrance access. They can basically shut the whole thing down if we need to go into lockdown. It also shows who's coming and going, focuses in on the cameras to see where they are, and can detect anybody in distress in the building.
Nice. But the gate, you're talking about the discovery process of the gate possibility that's down the road.
Yeah, so we're just looking at, I know we've had so many issues with the gate. What's going to be the fix ultimately? Is there a better solution than what we have that's going to provide better security and better reliability? I mean, it doesn't make sense spending all this money all the time to ever fix a gate that's constantly breaking.
Copy that. Thank you. All right, hearing no other discussion, we have a motion and a second to approve the change order as for entrance control / integrated security here as presented. The amount looks like $26,648.98. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Good information. Well laid out presentation there.
Thank you.
Director's updates. Oh wait, we have another new business.
Yes, sir, we do. This is a request for board approval, radio site relocation study. In a previous meeting, I shared with you that we were working with legal on a site lease for the current Columbia Heights location in Longview. That site is owned by Day Wireless, and we had a long-term lease. It expired, and so we've been working with legal and the Day Wireless lease side for a new agreement. Just so the board knows, it's expensive. The proposal right now from Day Wireless is in the neighborhood of $28,000 per year for that site. So, what I would like to do is some due diligence. We are researching potential other sites that we could co-locate with at little or no cost. And we're working with Cowlitz 911. They're interested in co-locating at our Meisner site, and we are exploring the possibility of co-locating at their Columbia Heights site. And we have a current contract with Palins and Associates, so I reached out to Mark to request a bid or a quote for a comprehensive study of what it would take. And that is what is before you. I have a quote for basically $9,600. There are, I believe it was recent, just this morning we uploaded it, so I don't know if you have that in front of you. But it's conduct a coverage study for radio frequency for our service area, making sure there's no unintended consequences, analyzing interferences either from us or from Cowlitz, coordinating joint meetings between the two 911 centers and Day Wireless. FCC requirements, microwave requirements, realignments, redesign of antennas potentially, et cetera. So it's a complete once over of what the pros and cons of this study or of this site might be. So I'm seeking your approval to award it. Still, it may not, while I'm asking for approval, we may not actually go through with it. It's all dependent on our negotiations with Day Wireless also.
And did you say that has been uploaded?
I believe Mary Jo did that this morning. Yes, Mary Jo?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking for, I can't find it yet. I don't know if I'm looking in the right spot. Did either of you guys find it? Bruce or Sean?
Sean, you're muted.
Yeah, I just refreshed my page. I don't see it. But I got one tab here. I'm not logged in as myself, so I'm going to make sure that's the one logged in on.
Should it be with all the rest of our board information stuff for today?
Yeah, it should be right. The last two. I'm trying to get on it myself. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay, yeah, the last two I have displayed says expenditure report and security access control.
I closed out my browser window, that tab, and opened a new tab, and it's there. I see it.
Yeah, mine's showing it.
Okay, there we go. Mike, on part of the negotiations with Day, you were mentioning, I think, originally they were wanting to do a long-term agreement, and because we were researching the radio system options, what direction we're going, you were trying to see if you could have options in there in case it becomes just a short term.
That is correct.
Have they been receptive to that?
Somewhat, yes. They also, you are correct, they wanted a long-term, and your summary is correct. We're asking for short-term, or at least the ability for a quick exit. Quick being relative. Nothing's fast with the radio system. But where we sit as of earlier this week, a 1-year full commitment, and then a 6-month notice to exit. So we're going to probably be committed anyway for the first year. Also trying to leverage that price down as much as we can.
So, Mike, you maintain that depending on how those talks go, that could depend on whether you move forward with this or not.
Correct. So we have quite a bit of equipment at our Columbia Heights site, and to be determined still is capacity for space at Cowlitz's Columbia Heights site. If there's no space, it's a moot point. We can't move. And I don't have enough knowledge today to say if there is or isn't. If we need to place a separate shelter at that site, I'm willing to do that, but it's dependent on if that's even allowed within their footprint, and I don't have that information yet. So there's a lot of things that are in play. The point of my request today is to at least get approval to engage Mark in doing the deep dive into RF studies, feasibilities, interference, all those things that are important. I suspect I'll have my answers for spacing within the next couple of days, and I didn't really want to wait another month to go before you guys in June. So I just want this piece of paper in my back pocket. If there is space, or if we even could place a small shelter within their footprint, then I would engage Mark to do the deep dive on the study. So it's kind of an insurance policy. I'm not saying I'm going to pull the trigger and spend the dollars to Mark. It's only if everything else allows us to do that, and then let him do his thing.
Okay. And then, I know it's preliminary, but what would you estimate would be cost to move equipment from one site to the other, since they're both at the similar location, I'm guessing?
Yeah, they're on the same hill. Cowlitz's site is further east by just a few miles, and a little bit, I can't even remember because I'm looking at too many sites, but it's further east. So I just don't want unintended consequences by us moving and losing coverage. And I've already engaged on the operations side of Day Wireless to get a quote for the physical move from our Cowlitz to the other Cowlitz site. So I haven't received that yet, but it's going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars. So none of this is inexpensive to move, I get that, but at $28,000 a year, I suspect we could start saving money after that first year.
And Mike, if you can help me for clarification, before Columbia Heights, we were located on which mountaintop right next to them?
Well, it was a Cressa site, I believe, and I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. It was equally expensive.
Right. Well, if I recall right, that originally it was not equally expensive until DNR, the feds,
Correct.
jacked up their lease rate to Cressa, in which point Cressa only passed it on to us.
Correct.
In which point the option came to move to Columbia Heights with quite a
Substantial investment.
We moved to
saving
green.
and investment from us.
Correct.
Which that move actually helped out with a bunch of the multipath that we were having in the area around Trojan and Deer Island with that move, and unfortunately ended up being detrimental to South County, mainly along the river and through that area. This is a tough one, but I think a couple things is if we decide through whichever direction the working group is going with, as far as if we're staying with VHF or moving Spectrum, this is probably important information to have. We know even if we do build a new radio system, that it is going to it's going to take a while to even finance and build said system. That this could be a benefit to the current radio system. I guess I would support having the study done, because I would really hate for us to, for good reasons of trying to save taxpayer dollars by moving to a cheaper site, I want to make sure we don't have a repeat of having unexpected consequences that I think we have still not been addressed fully today from our last move. Sorry, it's a little bit long-winded there, but
No,
trying to
you
summarize.
yep, you and I are thinking the same thing, and that's why we're not going to initiate any move until we know what the ramifications are of a potential move to this site. All this also, just for clarification regarding federal, they have all of our current sites, which includes, of course, the current Columbia Heights. But I've given them heads up that, hey, look at Cowlitz's Columbia Heights site as for your calculations for whatever spectrum that, well, we know that there's 3 that we're looking at, VHF, 7, or 800. If it makes any difference as a yin or a yang for those sites. So they are aware of that as well in their studies.
Okay. Well, we have already a motion and a second on this. And unless there's any further discussion, Bruce is still muted, so I think we're good there. Rob, you good? Good stuff, Rob. I appreciate your insight on that as well. Okay, I'll close it.
It's not so much, my issue isn't so much the sites themselves, just the unforeseen consequences that occurred last time. Just want to make sure we're going to be good.
Correct.
Yeah. Makes the study that much more important. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Carry on, or however which way it ends up moving forward there, Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep you apprised as what I do or don't do.
Okay. Director's update.
The only thing I have, just a couple things. One is the ever-changing mystery of COVID restrictions and where we are and what we're doing as a district. With the CDC making statements about all of us that are vaccinated and how we can live our lives, both work and personal, waiting for the state of Oregon to catch up. We had this conversation late last week of even regarding this meeting today. How do we proceed? We received some counsel from legal on what they send us out notices all the time about all sorts of different things. But the last notice we got, which was, I believe, Thursday, was steady the course until things settled out and we really get a fine definition from the state. So we today are running this meeting remotely as we have for the past many months, but I suspect that will be changing soon. And I'll let you folks know as we make those changes, and hopefully we can get back to our normal. So that's just that. The only other thing that I was going to share with you was we did receive, in past meetings I told you, of course, we attended or had legal represent us at the Court of Appeals regarding the Tyler Miller versus Columbia 911, going back to our last levy, election special option levy. The court returned a judgment on May 12th, and they ruled affirmed without opinion. And what that means is this ruling means that the result from the court hearing held here in Columbia County regarding our most recent tax levy will stay. So all is well, and hopefully that is put to rest. And that's really it, Mr. President.
Outstanding. Okay. Agenda items for the June 24th 2021 board meeting. I know we have the budget adoption, looks like. Exciting time.
Yes.
Any other agenda items, fellow board members, that you think to add, or?
I think under what old business, we'll have the potential appointment of the vacant zone.
Excellent. I would also be curious if we can take a look at some of your metrics sheets, Mr. Fletcher, that you'd have been compiling. I'd like to see some of those again, or at least get those kicked back into the rotation.
Noted.
Okay. Any other business? How about member comments? Mr. Anderson, what have you got?
Not much right now, but it's nice to see that a lot of things have kind of got suspended during COVID, whether it was actual site work from our vendors or difficulty for staff to communicate with contractors and otherwise. So it's nice to see that things are still moving along, and good job for staff.
Thanks, Rob.
Mr. Holsey? Any comments?
No, just it seems like things are working well, so I appreciate that on the staff's part.
Thanks, Bruce.
I'll echo that, yeah. Please keep up the good work, everyone. Appreciate it. Good luck with the recruitment when you kick that back in, and things with the how things go with the new folks and training. And always fun. I have no other comments myself. Hearing nothing else, we will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Goodbye.
Wow.
That's off. Just that.